Don't forget to hit subscribe and smack that bell button to become an honorary TheFearRaiser member so that you never miss a video.
Jobs. We all gotta get jobs at some point in our lives in order to sustain our day-to-day survival on eating, drinking, and for some people out there, buying V-Bucks on Fortnite. Well, hello there and welcome back to another story time with yo boy, TheFearRaiser, Friends Edition. But before we get into the story, guys, I just need to quickly state at how serious this story kind of is because, well, I almost ended up dying in a very unpleasant way at my first job. I know, okay, not exactly the prime spot to kick the bucket, but, you know, it's gonna happen eventually, so what do you do? Anyways, guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy today's new story.
This story takes place many years ago when I was in junior high. A simpler time where most of my days consisted of gaming, hanging with friends, and binging anime on Friday nights.
Oh man, those were the days.
Back then, however, I was faced with a big problem that we all soon find ourselves in at that age, which was, well, to put it simply, I was broke and needed money. Week by week, my parents would give me an allowance in return for doing my weekly chores around the house so that I could get by with the money I had. But alas, it wasn't enough to cover my needs. And well, my parents thought it was time to finally get a job since I was 15. I'd also like to mention that games were beginning to get costly, and that was also another factor here, but that's not important right now. It was time for me to get my first job, and I couldn't have felt more dreadful about it.
Let's be honest here. I don't think any teen looks forward to their first job. I mean, who looks forward to getting a minimum wage job, okay? Unless it's your dream job of some sorts. Unless you fantasize about working at the cashier at that chicken store down the road. I don't even know. I didn't have any. You think this is improv, people? I don't have a script for this part of the segment. Unless you're like working at a job you always wanted to work at, regardless of if it's, you know, something super awesome or, you know, something very simple. I just feel like a majority of people just aren't ever looking forward to that new step in their life. Maybe if I was working for like, I don't know, a big company like Microsoft or even, heck, Steven Spielberg's shoe shiner. Granted, you know, he probably makes a hefty penny. But regardless, even a job that doesn't involve having to interact with people on a day-to-day basis will be nice. But that's probably not gonna happen, so what do you do? Wait a second, I do YouTube! There's no one here! I don't have to interact with anybody! Oh man, I hit the jackpot! See you later, everybody! I'm going to Venice! Woohoo! Just kidding, I can't afford Venice.
So had begun the process of finding a job. Applying left, right, and center, I had sent out resumes everywhere. The local coffee shops, the grocery stores downtown, and even applied to a farm down the road to help clean up the cows, and thank God they didn't call me back for that one. Anyways, after a ton of hard work, I began to play one of the hardest games of all, the waiting game.
By the way, I'd like to quickly point out, when I say that I sent out my resumes to all these places, I mean physically. Like, taking this, my resume, and going in there and being like, I'd like to work at your establishment, sir! And walk out with a smile. Because you gotta smile. Because if you don't smile, it's great for customer service. That's right, this was back during a time where going in physically to bring a resume looked a lot better than sending it electronically because it showed you had confidence. It showed that you had determination and that you were going there because you cared for this job. That's gonna pay minimum wage, but yeah, you know, it was, if I'm being honest, it was all for show. Like, you think I walk into McDonald's like, oh, I wanna work at McDonald's? Yes, take my resume. Where did I throw that? Yes, the ultimate resume that I will send to work minimum wage at McDonald's because I love their food so much. Yeah, that's actual reenactment here. 2011 Jordan. But hey, nowadays everyone has social anxiety and no one wants to interact with each other, so sending electronically is more favorable.
After waiting for a week or so and so eagerly kept an ear out for our house phone, a call had finally come through. For a fast food restaurant that was just down the road from me. And let's call this place Mama Brown's. Now, Mama Brown's was a local food chain that I must admit has great food and serves chicken mostly, sort of similar to KFC, but it's its own thing of course. Anyways, they had called me and asked for an interview, and well, desperate at this point since no one else had really called me, I agreed and went down to meet them. It didn't take long after until I had been hired, hoping to be a cashier, but because I was a guy, they placed me as a cook. Why do I say that? Well, because the manager actually said that to me. She explained girls were more comforting to me at the front, so yeah, I just had to deal with that and now be a cook. So that sucked. A lot.
To be honest, looking back then, when I applied to all these positions, I never really understood how your position at a job is really decided, and kind of going into it my first time, I just didn't know what was going to happen to me, if I'm being honest. But I can assure you, cooking was the last thing that I wanted for this job. But it's exactly what I got. Being real for a second here, I would probably do most things instead of working in the back of a grease trap, cleaning dishes, cooking greasy food, being in a hot, steamy cooking area. But that ain't gonna happen either. So, moving on.
It didn't take long after my first few shifts to realize how much I hated working at this place. Working full-time in the summer, sweating in the back of Mama Brown's with no AC, with a disgusting amount of chicken I had to batter and fry, was honestly just the worst, and I was losing my patience. However, this wasn't the worst part about the job. Oh, no. The worst part about this particular job were actually about the people I was working with. Now, there's a saying that I always go by when it comes to any kind of job, and it goes a little something like this. You either love the job and hate the people you're working with, or you hate the job, but love the people. It's really only rare when you find something that you enjoy on both sides, and I can assure you with this job, I hated everything.
With that in mind, I would actually love to take the time to ask you, that's right, you sitting there watching this video, or maybe you're standing, I don't know, but you right now watching this video, tell me, how was your first job experience? I'm very curious. I would love to know. Please let me know in the comments below, because I not only want to read those, but leave some comments there, leave some interesting stories for people who are watching this video so that people have more to absorb in this video. Not only are you getting my take, but you're gonna get some hot takes of other people as well. So I'd love to read your stories, leave them in the comments below. And yeah, that'll be cool, that'll be nice. Hey, how you doing? Do you come here often? Subscribe. But anyways, allow me to continue as to how I almost died working at this place.
Now, I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with fast food and cooking, but in this kitchen area where the magic happens, depending on where you're working, sometimes these meals are not cooked in the safest fashion. When I was working at Mama Brown's, they had terrible health and safety regulations with their process, and honestly, looking back, I totally could have sued them for all this, but let's not get into that. I was an inexperienced young man, and I just really didn't know what was going on. Anywho, one of the most dangerous things I was required to do at this job was to deal with the grease fryer where all the chicken was essentially deep fried. And oh my god, was it terrifying. I had to drop in chicken inches away from boiling hot fat while giving it a certain sway in order to have the chicken deep fried properly. And the best part was I had to do this all with no gloves on. I'll never forget the day where I burnt my hand so bad, and one of the men working there in the kitchen turned to me and literally said, "Don't worry, kid, you'll get used to it," and lifted up his hand to reveal his scarred, destroyed hands from over the years of being burnt from the grease. I will never forget that day.
Now imagine this is chicken. Imagine taking chicken like this and putting it so ever close to boiling. You know what? This lava lamp is the fire. I'm trying to position this to the camera. You know what? This isn't gonna work. These crackers will suffice. imagine the crackers are the grease, all right? And this is the chicken. And you imagine having to put the chicken in like this, without gloves, just like this, and having to wave it into the grease, into the fat or whatever, so that the chicken itself, I don't know, fries a certain way. That was my job. That was what I had to do, without gloves. And it was scary, man. You had to endure the hot grease spatting on your hands. Remember when I said this was my first job and I had no knowledge of health and safety regulations? Well, here I was essentially getting screwed over because of that lack of knowledge, and it was not a pretty sight. Like, I was just a kid. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what rights I had. So, yeah, I mean, looking back, scary stuff, man.
Anyways, one day, I was asked to clean out the greasers, which, as I've explained before, was used to deep fry the chicken. And you see, this machine was extremely flawed, or rather, how the entire setup was flawed. So essentially, think of this grease fryer like a bucket full of boiling hot fat with a valve on the bottom, but nothing to connect it to. Just a valve so very close to the opening that anytime you turn it, you've got a 50% chance of getting it on your hands, so this was always a tense moment. I remember actually talking to the manager about how unsafe I felt about this, but she assured me I would be fine and also said I had no choice because as a cook, I had to do it because no one else was going to do it. Anyways, one day, right as I was ordered to clean up one of these things, I filled this iron bucket on the bottom up with the grease. And as I walked away from the bucket to let this all pour into it, I ended up slipping and, well, knocked the bucket of boiling hot grease all over the floor. I, in the process, had almost not only smacked my head off the machine, but been boiled alive by the hot grease that was still pouring out of the fryer. But thankfully got up in the nick of time to avoid that from happening, turned the valve, and stopped the grease from pouring all over the floor.
Boiling hot grease is no laughing matter. From all of the fast food places that I ever have worked at, boiling grease has to be one of, if not the most hazardous thing that you have to handle when you're the cook. And it is definitely not fun to deal with. Because, let's be honest, it's very water insoluble. That's right, we're using some big words tonight. It's water insoluble, which means that water does not get it off you right away. It's very resistant to water is what I'm trying to say, and it burns tremendously. So it's a very not a great thing to experience. All right, for example, have you ever cooked bacon and the fat off the pan just kind of like spits at you and you're like, ah! Yeah, that was me on a bigger scale, okay? Like imagine a bucket of grease of all of that fat just spatting out at me, you know? That's what I'm talking about, people. That was my nightmare. That was a bad time.
After being yelled at by pretty much everybody in the kitchen and explaining that it was an accident, I, along with a few others, cleaned up the mess and continued to work my shift. Doing my best, acting like I didn't just almost die, okay? Regardless, it was at this point I realized that I was done with this place. Not even a week later, I had decided to put in my notice, and shortly after, had left Mama Brown's and never looked back since.
And there you have it, my first job that I ever worked at. Not a pleasant experience, but nonetheless, I learned, and here I am today retelling that story. But with that being said, I definitely learned something very important from that job, and that is that you as a person have the right to refuse unsafe work wherever you go. It doesn't matter where you work, if you do not feel safe doing something at a job, you have full right to say no, that you don't want to do it. And they can't do anything about it because it's you. It's your life, man. It's your safety, and you know what's best for you. So just keep that in mind next time you're in a situation where you feel a little unsafe. Or just unsafe in general. Like, if you feel unsafe, just, yeah, there you go. Look, man, I'm just a guy on the internet, alright? I know things! Being inexperienced at any job can really put you at a disadvantage, and not to mention being inexperienced in general can put you at a disadvantage when it comes to many things. So, you know, it's very good to be on top of these things that are very important and to stay safe. So hey kids, yeah, there's your good message of the day by TheFearRaiser. That's right, so leave a like, subscribe. But either way guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this story time! If you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And even if you didn't like this video, leave a like and subscribe anyways, because you know what? Haters gonna hate. Also, if you're interested and you want to follow me on my Twitter or my social media, bam, check it somewhere. Check it out. Follow me there. I don't know, just do whatever you want to do, okay? Like it's your life. And I will see you guys in the next video. Alright guys, take care and have a great day. See ya! Remember how I said I was exiting out of my videos this way? Well, I meant it! Alright! See you later! Okay, bye! You're still here! You're still here! Why are you still here? Alright. I'm just gonna turn the camera off. You're not gonna go. Okay, bye. Love you.